Here are my pros and cons to the Baylor at Texas football game. I'm going to say, first of all, sure, the score was 38-27, but it was a lot closer than it really was. I mean, Baylor had the lead at half, 19-17. They just didn't get anything going in the second half offensively in terms of scoring points. And I'll explain how in the world did they get to 28 then. First of all, the con of the game. The offense had 280 yards overall. It was good in the first half. Second half, not so. 39 rushing attempts for 101 yards. No touchdowns. The offense had 18 first downs in the game. Blake Shapen had only 18 completions out of 36 for 179 yards with 2 touchdowns and an interception, which some of the passes were underthrown. And even that one to Jalen Ellis that was incomplete, if you would have led him more to the left, Jalen Ellis's left, he in the boundary area, deep, that would have been a touchdown. But he put too much on it. Either put too much on it or underthrow it. So, and that interception for Texas turned into 7 points, essentially. So, the offensive line allowed 7 tackles for loss and 6 QB hurries. You gotta protect in terms of quarterback hurries. I don't care if it's a tight end or a running back or offensive line. You gotta protect. But your run blocking has to be better. We just didn't execute late in the game. Of course, 0 points off of 2 turnovers, which I know, granted, one of them was a scoop and score. But nothing on the other turnover. Nothing. And there was offensively they had 7 passes deflected. So that's not good. The defense allowed 38 points. The defense allowed 7 of those points off turnovers, which was the only one of the game for Baylor. The only one. And they scored. The defense allowed 22 first downs. The defense was 4 for 9 on third down. They didn't even try on fourth down. They were close to trying a few times, like once in the game, Texas did, but they false started. The defense allowed 402 yards overall. And 208 of those were rushing. Basically, the passing defense, yes, they allowed a few trunk plays here and there, but Quinn Ewers was not going to beat them by himself based on the numbers. Bijan Robinson, he finally got a game over 100 yards rushing against Baylor, and now it's against every Big 12 team. 29 rushing attempts for 179 yards with 2 touchdowns. Roschon Johnson even had 13 rushing attempts for 77 yards with 2 touchdowns. Quinn Ewers didn't win the game. It was the run offense for Texas in the second half, and Baylor couldn't stop it. They couldn't. The first half was good at times, but then the second half, they were just running the ball because Quinn Ewers was terrible on this day. The defense had 0 QB hurries. The defense allowed some chunk plays. The defense only had 2 passes deflected. Isaac Power had 5 punts for 182 yards. 2 of those landed inside the 20-yard line. The long was 46 yards, and the average was 36.4. Well, I will say this. The first punt of the game, or one of the punts in this game, went for 11 yards. He shanked it bad. And that was directly resulted in Texas points. no matter what, I'm not going to blame all the game on him. There was more issues. There was issues across every area. I mean, John Mayers, who is supposedly one of the most accurate field goal kickers in Baylor history, made 1 out of 2 today. The one he made was 30 yards. The other one was just like the distance from last week, 40. He missed it. He kicked the ball. He had the distance on it this time, unlike the last. But he curved it too much to the left. That would have been made if it was closer. And if he didn't kick it so much slanted one way. So, Score Williams got hurt in this game and never came back in. He was limping with something. Now the pros, Baylor scored 27 points, which could have been more. It could have been. 4 for 5 on fourth down. Oh, and I forgot one thing to say about the offense. The offense was terrible on third down. Terrible. I mean, in the first half they were good. Second half, not so. I mean, I'm not afraid of how to call it the way it is. Numbers don't lie. I mean, they don't. And I'm more of an apt to looking at it from issues in all areas, not just one particular person. 5 for 18 on third down. Yeah, not good. Let me type that. I mean, the last non-conversion on fourth down was basically they had to go for it in order to give themselves a shot to be within one score, potentially. The offense made a 2-point conversion. I mean, Richard Reese had 15 rushing attempts for 54 yards. Quayon Jones had 14 rushing attempts for 45 yards and 6 receptions for 18 yards. Josh Cameron had 4 receptions for 48 yards. Jalen Ellis had a 1 touchdown reception that was 47 yards. Where has he been all year? He needs to play more at this point. Monterey Baldwin had 3 receptions for 35 yards. The offensive line allowed only 3 sacks, which I wish it was less, but it's not as bad as those quarterback hurries allowed. I mean, now, defensively, they only allowed 194 passing yards. That was not the issue in this game. Yes, they allowed some chunk plays and some big plays in the passing game, but they were not consistently doing that all game long. The defense forced 2 turnovers, though. Both of them fumbles. The first was recovered by Devin Lemire, while the other one was Gabe Hall, which was a 16-yard scoop and score. I mean, the defense had 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. Christian Morgan had a safety in the game. It's only because intentional grounding on Quinn Ewers. And nobody was near. That was to start the game. Noah Ruschenberg had 5 kickoffs overall, but 4 of those were touchbacks. And the one that was allowed was only 18 yards. That's the only thing, special teams yards, they allowed all game. Monterey Baldwin had 2 kickoff returns for 34 yards, which is okay, not great. John Mayers made 2 extra points out of 2. 1 penalty for 2 yards. Just 2. Dominated time possession. I mean, Baylor 33 minutes 24 seconds to 26 minutes 36 seconds, and Baylor won a turnover battle 2-1. I mean, they only had 1 while Texas had 2. I'm going to say this right now. I have backed up Blake Shapen some, but I think the quarterback competition needs to be opened up right now. I don't know if it's about should it be right now, but at least in the off season. He's been inconsistent. I'm not going to say he's the only reason why we lost games. I'm not going to say that. He's definitely part of the reason, but not the whole entire reason. I mean, and going into this year, we knew our skill positions were inexperienced. Sure, they might be like Gavin Holmes, for example. He didn't play today due to injury. He was a 6-year senior, but the most inexperienced one to think of. Of course, we know about Tate McWilliams with that concussion in that second game. He's been out since. Corkscrew Williams has dealt with concussion too. I mean, Ben Sims even. That's just naming, and Monterey Baldwin has dealt with injuries too, some points during the year. But I'm not going to say that's part of the reason why they struggle offensively some. They just don't have the playmakers like a year ago, like a Tyquan Thornton, R.J. Sneed, or even the Dartmouth transfer in, I should know his name because I know or an Ivy, at least an Ivy. Drew Estrada. Yeah, that's right. Drew Estrada. So we don't have a guy like that that's proven as good as we think our receiver core was. I'm also going to say the defense, the defense definitely needs to improve. In the past, defense going into this offseason. I know before the game we were 84th in the nation. We only allowed 194 all those yards, what I said, but in the past we have had issues. Part of that is the pass rush. And I know another part of it is the secondary is young too. And I'm going to say that they need to go to the transfer portal, definitely for the offensive and defensive lines. They're going to lose a lot there. In terms of starters and rotation guys, I mean, I'm not lying to you. I mean, it's the truth. Now, the only other position I would consider transfer portal-wise offensively besides that is the wide receiver, just to have a proven number one guy. A number one wide receiver that could take over with experience and not like he's good enough to be a backup or the same level as us. Defensively, of course, besides the defensive line, needs to hit the transfer portal. And they even need, they're going to try to address this with JUCO, too. I mean, at defensive line, which I'm good with that, too. But you need to build that up because, Siaki Ika's definitely gone. He's gone. I mean, that's going to be a big hole to fill. I'm not worried about linebackers so much. I'm worried about the cornerbacks and safeties. Those two areas need to improve. And don't be shocked if they try to hit the transfer portal at both of those spots. I would prefer two corners than over a safety, or at least one corner and a safety. Two guys. But I prefer both to be corners. And in terms of the quarterback competition, we know Blake Shapen, I don't think he's proven that he's quarterback one right now. I don't think so. Going to next year. It's not given to him. But it's kind of like the same situation as Gary Bohannon on this last year. I mean, same situation. A year later. And we got Kyron Drones. And I know he hasn't played since the West Virginia game or something like that. I know. And I'm not going to speculate to the rumors that what that's been saying about him, according to one person, that he doesn't post a link or article or anything like that saying he's going to transfer out. I wouldn't believe that nonsense junk until it's really proven. But you got Austin Novosad coming in. He's good enough to start, potentially. And I'm going to say this. I know this is a letdown season. I know it is. But at least you're going bowling, unlike the team in College Station. Yes, I'm referring to Texas A&M. I'm not trying to take a shot at them. I'm just saying they have a lot more 5-stars than we do, and yet they didn't go to a bowl. We have a longer bowl streak than them. And Texas, yeah, I'm going to even say that too, because Texas went 5-7 last year. So, as for the bowl game, we'll have to wait and see who we're going to play and where it's going to be played. But I'll definitely do a preview of that game and the pros and cons for that. And we're going to be 1 year better, and we just didn't execute as good as we wanted to, not only in this game, but in other games. I'm going to say the Kansas State game was just a big outlier, being a blowout. I mean, we were right in it, nearly in every game. It's just, we just got to do simple, better, and overcome the hurdles that the opposing team presented to us in terms of momentum. And the leadership needs to be better too. That's another reason. And we lost a lot of guys that were leaders. I'm not talking about just Gary Bohannon either to the transfer portal. But Jalen Petrie, Terrell Bernard, Jarek McVay, Kalen Barnes. You lost in JT Woods. You lost some good pieces in the secondary last year. Now, we'll have to wait and see what the schedule is for next year. But as for this year, at least we're going to a bowl, and we're going to have 15 more practices, and hopefully we'll learn from this game, in the last 2 games especially. I mean, you don't want to go into the season, end of regular season, with 3 straight losses. Especially 2 of those were at home. Anyways, I just want to break that down in terms of pros and cons and what I think that needs to happen for next year, and starting especially in the off season. I mean, it's the truth. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get to 400 subscribers or more by the end of this year or sometime in the future.